Carried.
Gotta get my name on there.
All in favor? Carried, thank you. Agenda item 2.1, that the Council of the Town of Kindersley resolves to adopt the agenda for the February 10th, 2020 regular meeting of Council as presented, and that a copy of the agenda be attached to and form part of the minutes of this meeting. Mover seconder, please, Elise Randy. All in favor? Anyone see anything they wish to declare a conflict of interest on? I don't think there's a whole bunch on the agenda.
Got it.
All good? Council of Town of Kindersley resolves, whereas the time being 5:04 p.m., that the regular meeting of council be adjourned to a confidential in-camera meeting. Need a mover and a seconder, please, Chris. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. PM, that the confidential in-camera meeting is concluded, the regular meeting of council is resumed. The mover and the seconder, please. All there? Carried. And item 6.1, that the Council of the Town of Kindersley resolves to approve as presented the minutes from the January 27th, 2020 regular meeting of council, and that these minutes be attached to and form part of the minutes of this meeting. Mover Randy, second Chris. All in favor? Minutes. Okay, agenda item 7.1 is the Communities in Bloom initiative. And I will pass that on to CEO Audrey to speak upon.
Yeah, so this is just the Communities in Bloom. We have, past 2 years, I believe, we've not competed in the Communities in Bloom. I guess this is just information. I don't know, do you have to stay out for a certain length after you? No, you can go. So I guess this is just whether you guys want to start, participating in the 2020 Communities in Bloom, competing for the blooms in there. Usually they would come, you'd have a binder that you do up with your community, and then they'd come do a tour, and so I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Councilor Moss?
Through the Mayor to this Council Administration, a couple years ago, before we stopped doing the Communities in Bloom, I was the council representative on there, and one thing we did note is we struggle significantly with getting interested parties to volunteer to assist with any of the Community in Bloom type of initiatives. And additionally, when I was on it, we had discussed with Joe Newling that ultimately the benefit of being in the Communities in Bloom, Kindersley is not really in a position where we have spaces that are at a point that we kind of want to be competing anyway. Like, we need to get our parks updated and fixed up before there's really any point in trying to enter into these competitions. So I guess that's kind of where we left off 2 years ago when the committee folded. At that time we had 3 active members, and we did not have any luck in hosting any volunteer. We hosted a couple volunteer nights to get people involved, and people just simply weren't interested in helping with that type of initiative, so we walk.
Yeah, and I think we've come a long way in our parks in the last couple of years, but I don't think we're there yet as far as finishing all the projects that we set out 2 years ago. Councillor Becker.
Like with this, I've always liked the Communities in Bloom thing, when you drive in communities and you see they've won it, and a lot of it's just a tidiness thing, and I think everybody can look in the mirror for that. Like, you know, if you, I don't know what it entails with the committee that organizes, but can the town head something like that, where it's like you can put the emphasis, like, clean your yard up, clean your, or how does it go there?
You can, but like they come in and they adjudicate you. Kindersley has not historically gotten very good adjudications from them. We had some decent ones, but usually comes with a lot of cleanliness issues and stuff like
There's
that.
always usually a poor room.
We actually have done quite well in some past competitions, and there's different categories, like they do rate you on like environmental initiatives that you're doing, like they look at your recycling program, they look at like a lot of different things, like Councillor Becker said, the tidiness of the community or whatever, but the big thing too is trying to get, you know, the community involved and active, and so maybe if we could try to revitalize the committee and have, you know, some town support, but
You definitely need community partnership. It costs about, it's $125 to participate in it, which really isn't that much, and they come in and they just kind of judge your green spaces.
So we can handle that.
But
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of interest 2 years ago. We pushed me and Deb Wooldridge with Prairie Rose for a couple of years to get people interested, and nobody did, so that's why Chelsea did that parks cleanup that was held out at the dam, and that's kind of just what it got left at.
like one thing that we had found beneficial in the past was when the judges come, they don't just come and judge and say, you know, here's 4 stars for your community.
Yes,
They give a lot of
yeah.
feedback, and they give different ideas from a different perspective. Like a lot of the times, like one judge will be from, you know, down east, and one will be from, you know, west or whatever. And they might have different ideas or things that they've done in their communities or seen in other communities that they've been judging. So then you get some takeaway items or things that you could improve upon. I don't know.
Like
It's
the-
a learning experience.
Yeah, like even in here, the program benefits, communities have recognized numerous benefits from the program: increased civic pride and community involvement, environmental stewardship through enhancement of green spaces, so that's also all your mobilization of citizen groups, organizations, best practices, information, valuable information, feedback from the judges, economic development and increased property values, marketing and promotional opportunities, positive benefits for tourism, hospitality, and retail industries, improved quality of life, and participation from all ages, walks of life in the community. I wonder, the application deadline is April 15th. I wonder if we did some kind of media poll to see if anybody would be interested in joining the Communities in
That's what I was thinking,
Bloom.
that perhaps Anna could grab a hold of it and just put, I mean, all you need is 3 or 4 people who are really interested, and if you can get that, then usually the spin goes, but you've got to have those people to head it up. And I certainly don't think that we have, I think our town staff is lean enough, we don't need to try and take that on, and I'm sure most of us on council have enough things to do, but things change over 3 or 4 years. Maybe there are some people who are, you know, newly retired that would like to get involved in something like this. So I think we should at least reach out and see if we can find some people.
And they would work with, you know, Chelsea and Joe on the, like, on the committee as well, just to.
Councillor Baker.
Just thinking though, this is the year where we're kind of expanding the lagoon and dredging it.
Good point.
Points are gonna be.
Yeah.
I don't like that score very
The
well.
whole
Maybe we'll do well in the environmental component of it, because we are bettering, you know, up to regulation code and
If
whatnot.
they don't stay, we'll know, I guess, but,
Communities in bloom.
or flowers will be wilted.
I missed some of it, but I'm kind of with Elise. I don't know if this is the time to do it, just because our parks aren't quite,
Well, and if you want to wait a year, that's fine as well.
yeah. Just for me, I don't think, like, we're not quite where I think we should be on our park, or I would like to see our parks even nicer. And there's nothing that says we can't try to keep things nice as if we're in it.
I think there's two different categories too. You can do the competing and the non-competing. So if you didn't wish to actually compete and the judges come, but you wanted to do the program.
I was going to say, we did the non-competing membership for the last year that we did the Communities in Bloom. And all of the members that were on that at the time felt that there was very little value added to the community for the work that they were going out and doing. Because then we spent 3 days going around the town inspecting people's yards and trying to pick, okay, well, who's got a nice yard? Who, is using rain barrels? And there was very little benefit actually drawn back to our community or to our park spaces. Communities in Bloom, there's only one additional grant program that you can get involved with that requires you to be a Communities in Bloom member, and it's very minimal funding. Like, we can create all of these initiatives without having to buy a membership with the Communities in Bloom. So, like, somebody like Pat Perkins and the work that she does at the school, to me, is more of the programs that we need to be looking at than necessarily looking at these particular programs, because you don't really necessarily get money or significant benefit in the community from doing it. You spend money and you use resources to ultimately see if maybe they'll put you in a magazine and gloat about your park.
Yeah.
Which I don't see as.
So there's basically 4 categories. There's your competitive, and then you compete with your population, and are you evaluated. You have your novice, and those are new communities or communities that have not been evaluated since 2017 can enter that one. The community is evaluated on 3 criteria of their choosing. This is a non-competitive evaluation process that includes elevation experience and program workshop with the judges, coordinated with participating communities. The intention of the novice category is for the community to participate competitively or as an evaluated friend for the next year. Communities are not permitted to remain in this category for more than 1 year. Then you have your elevated friends. These communities in this group are non-competing, you know what I'm trying to do. However, they do receive a valuable visit from the judge in an effort to track the community progress, and they're recognized for a Bloom achievement. And then you just have your friends, and this is non-evaluated, recognized for their participation. Participants do not receive a Bloom rating and are not visited by judges. This category is recognized for participation only. So those are the 4 categories that you can go into. The novice being only a 1-year thing. So.
And the Miracle Grow sends you some goodie bags to give out to people.
Yeah. So the evaluated friends is a non-competing, but you still get the visit from the judges to help with your just to get the comments of what is good and that kind of stuff.
Don't we get enough comments from everybody else?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
What's the thoughts, council? Do you want Anna to explore whether we,
Wait a year.
or do you want to wait a year?
I would wait.
I would
Your point's
personally
actually
be
really
more
good.
inclined to want to wait a year, get our irrigation projects and stuff like that done, and then look at moving into that
I
type
feel
of
like we're
stuff.
right in the middle of, I said, trying to get in our parks, not there yet, so.
That would be yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, just
We okay?
got the irrigation working and stuff, we're just not there yet.
What about the Parks for All grant application? Did you?
Well, yeah, I haven't actually read a whole lot into that, but I can, what I'll do is I'll give it to Chelsea and see if she has any that would apply for it.
Yeah,
It's a new initiative this year.
Yeah.
the federal grant or?
It's through SPRA and it's new this year. It's about accessibility in parks. So
Oh, okay.
as
Oh, we
Audrey
talked
said,
about
it
this
did
one
very
for
well,
the
did
park,
well for
the Pathway to Wellness Park.
Oh, yes, we did.
Yeah, we talked about this.
This one for the Pathway
Wellness
Yes.
Park, that the trip of the month tickets are.
That they could do the other portion of it. Yeah.
To apply for this grant for.
So what I'll do is I'll give this
Which
to,
part?
Baker Park, like where the spray park is, to put some
outdoor exercise equipment.
Yeah, that would be good for all ages, so basically like children right up to seniors. And it's playground equipment that's like weight equipment kind of thing out in the public. For
Elliptical
anybody to
type
use,
things or
things like
whatever.
that.
So,
They're
yeah.
getting really popular in cities and
Like, yeah, I don't know if you've seen them in that Stonebridge Park, they have one there, they have them in there.
I think they
Okay.
looked at putting them out at Coleman Crescent at one point.
Oh, maybe.
So they decided not to, but they're kind of neat.
It's just outdoor exercise equipment, so you might have an elliptical or you might have a weight bar, or like not with weights, but, yeah. All one kind of one piece.
playground equipment geared to physical fitness,
Yes.
basically, for all age groups, from children right through to seniors.
Which is what the trip of the month, that we're 28, is that what we're on? Is going, so the proceeds for this trip of the month that we're selling right now are going toward, so Pathway to Wellness is designing this park, and the proceeds for that trip of the month are going to Pathway to Wellness for this outdoor park for exercise equipment.
Show it buff and buff.
Yeah.
Get back, your angles,
Please don't.
Won't be just you saying,
Okay. So we'll leave that for you, and we'll look at getting that. Chelsea and Joanne can work on
Okay,
that.
that'd be good. We'll move on to item 7.2, which is a draft zero tolerance policy. The resolution reads that the Council of the Town of Kindersley resolves to approve policy number AP001, being the zero tolerance policy for violence and antisocial behavior, and that policy AP001 shall be authorized for immediate implementation and shall supersede any previous zero tolerance policy, and that the approved copy of the policy be attached to and form part of these minutes. CAO Audrey, can you comment on?
Yeah, so currently we do have a zero tolerance policy. Monica, we just, with other issues and whatever, we kind of streamlined it. There is, this one now sets out specific age ranges, behaviors that are not tolerated. The responsibility of the adults are more clearly defined, and also the penalty structure, if somebody is in violation of it, is more clearly defined in this policy than the old one. The old one kind of was more two ends of the spectrum, but nothing in between. So this one kind of allows, more offenses. It also has the Schedule A with the offenses on this one, like first offense, second offense, third offense, serious incidents, which wasn't on the original policy either. It was more of a deal with it as it comes thing. So this is more laid out, more structured, and and it'll replace the other one.
Any questions, Council?
Is there anything in there that you didn't like, care?
Councilor Baker?
I was reading through it and I noticed, so you define the ages of children, youth, students, and adults.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really clarify what that does. I guess when you look down at the penalties or the offenses, it doesn't really clarify why we're identifying those ages. I'm not sure if I missed it.
I guess it's just the definition of what's used later. Like if in here it says it's a child or whatever, or in these, then at least those are just definitions more so than anything.
Because then it's got a pretty clear minor incident offense, say for first offense, second or third, but it doesn't really specify that if that was a 3-year-old child, that it's not going to be the same punishment for a 30-year-old person, a 3-year-old. There's no definition of that in the offenses.
Gotcha. Yes, I understand what you're saying there.
Maybe we need to add something about
Although I
children
guess
2 to 7, you're not gonna.
ultimately with the
perpetrator-
offenses, they got responsible adult written beside, or responsible adult. So anybody who would not be constituted as an adult would be, like, the thing is it's actually their parent who will be now held responsible because they would be considered the responsible adult of that 3-year-old child. I guess that's the way I was reading it. It says, to the person and or the responsible adult shall pay actual costs of the administration.
Are they just referring to those age groups because number 6 does say adults must supervise and will be held accountable for the actions of children, youth, students?
Yeah, that, it's just basically a definition of what falls under those.
Just a child,
Yeah.
well, a child is up to 7 years old and he was throwing shit around the laundry or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at that, just because in the penalties under first, second, and third offense, I just didn't see that. All it says is the perpetrator, and I was thinking, well, you're not sending a letter to a 3-year-old.
No.
Perpetrator would be.
Yeah, and that does say on there, for the purpose of this policy, the following definitions apply, so they're just a definition.
Any other questions of that? If not, could I have the mover and the seconder for the motion, please? Seconder, all in favor? Carried. Okay, we'll move on to 7.3, and this is a more specific policy, the WCEC policy, that the Council of the Town of Kindersley resolves to approve policy AP 002, being the West Central Event Center behavioral policy, and that policy AP-002 shall be authorized for immediate implementation and so shall supersede any previous WCEC behavioral policy, and that the approved copy of the policy be attached to and form part of the minutes. Again, I'll pass that on to our CAO to comment if any.
Yeah, through the mayor to council. So this again is specific to the West Central Event Center. So while it's got the same concept of the zero tolerance, it just it works in conjunction with it. So it's got more things in it, like the hanging on the mezzanine, or playing with balls in the like sticks and balls in the hallways, playing on the scissor lift, other equipment like that. So it's just more specific to what we will not accept in the West Central Event Center, versus the zero tolerance is any facility within the town of Kindersley. So this one's just a little bit more specific to the West Central Event Center. It works in conjunction with the zero tolerance. I do believe the offenses is almost identical, but still again attached to. So this one, if you would just be removed from the West Central Event Center, whatever. It brings in the shinny rules. Once this is passed, we will be putting up signs in the West Central Event Center with the rules and whatever that we have in there.
Councilor Galbraith.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is there any reason you can't have one and then it would cover like outdoor rinks and dressing rooms and outdoor, like the outdoor rinks, and they have one policy with everything in it? And then it covers your rinks, like even your dressing rooms and the other rinks, and that, like, I guess I don't understand why we need two, even though,
Dressing rooms in the other.
well, when they're changing their skates on an outdoor.
In the shack.
Oh, in the
ice
shack.
shacks, or, you know.
Washrooms in the shack.
Washrooms in the shacks, and then it's an all-encompassing thing on any facility you go to if you're, then it kind of, to me, would cover kind of everything, not just the West Central Event Center. Then you've got kind of everything covered, the ball diamonds or pools or, I don't know, to me.
Well, it would be a very long policy then, just
Well, we
because
got
this
two,
is.
but I don't know, yeah.
Well, we do have two, but this one, I mean, there's just so much more stuff in the West Central Event Center that isn't at an outdoor arena, like the mezzanine, the scissor lift, sprinklers, you know, like,
Yeah.
the
Well, I guess I'm just thinking of like the pool or the changing your skates and like to have that kind of more of a, I don't know. And maybe there's not, I just was, because a lot of it does seem repetitive except for those specific things.
Could not include any and all town recreation facilities or the word?
we could do all, you know, but then, and I guess if it doesn't apply, it doesn't apply. Like, I mean, we're not gonna worry about stick handling outside the outdoor arena type of thing.
Stick handling in the pool.
Could a person put when applicable? Like, just for the purpose of this policy, when applicable, unacceptable behavior shall include but not be limited to. And then that way, it's just saying like, when it's applicable to the facility that you're in. So obviously, like, stick handling is not going to be applicable to the swimming pool.
That won't be an issue because it won't come up anyway.
Yeah, any issue related to that facility or something.
Well, you don't even need that because stick handling.
But then it would still cover smoking, breathing, and chewing about it, you know.
That's not the issue.
Is that something that's going to be impacted all facilities is like the smoking, vaping, and chewing or something?
But that has its own bylaw as well.
Yeah.
Like that, it's got its own, like we have our own, the smoking and vaping is its own separate thing anyway, so.
Make it instead of having two policies, just one, and if it applies, it applies. If it doesn't, who cares?
Right.
Or you can add the advanced interest of football.
Or not even, just have them all in there.
Well, it doesn't really matter if we know where the offense applies, if we have, as long as we have, like, this is where we've had the problems,
Yeah.
in the central.
But I mean, we're talking about a new Kindersley shack. or
Yeah, we've
whatever.
got same
I
issues
mean,
there.
Yeah.
You're kind of running into the same thing as the Western Event Center with the bathroom and a change room or.
Lights.
Rather than having it back to the.
I guess I'm trying to encompass all those ones too, as we're kind of making.
So kind of make this more of a recreation,
Any town.
policy.
Recreation in town
Anything that they
facilities.
do that's on town property.
Should be able to be fit into one.
So you want to put this all into the zero tolerance, is what you're saying?
Why not?
Okay, well, then I guess what you could do is, redo that motion that you made and we will bring this.
I just think having one would be just, it covers everything.
That 70-page document when we first got on it, you narrowed down to 15 pages. What was that?
The council policy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
And then it's the same policy, no matter where you look, it's the
Yeah.
exact same policy. You
That's
can't pick and choose which policy you might have broken.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, Lisa?
Yeah.
You and I did that.
Yeah.
Right?
Really good team.
Perkins, through the CAO, just for a point of clarification then, the zero tolerance policy, and you want a different one just for all recreation facilities as opposed.
Just the one.
So the zero tolerance policy, then you'll have to rescind your resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A zero tolerance / behavioral policy as an all-in-one document.
Okay,
Fair enough.
we will bring that back to the next meeting.
Yeah, that's easy.
So you'll just, you'll need to rescind the motion that you just passed.
I just want to feel like I'm here.
Yeah, he was asking me what?
I just want to
Give clerk an opportunity here to write a quick rescind, and we'll vote on it.
While you're doing that, you could do the IT thing. and then-
Okay,
yeah.
let's move on to 7.4, the IT security. Anna, your name is on that?
Yes. So this was just kind of a quick refresher for everybody. We've had around the office a few people getting emails that say they're from Audrey or say they're from the mayor, asking them to either pick up gift cards for them or send money or that kind of thing. So I just want to reiterate with everybody that the mayor and or Audrey would never start out an email with, could you do me a favor? Because that's been the main thing that people, and there's been a couple of people who have been caught with conversing back and forth with them and that. So just to make sure that you check the email address that your emails are coming from. If it's something that's suspicious that says it's coming from a company that maybe you're speaking with, whether it's maybe on one of your boards or something like that. If you're not sure what the attachment is, then just make sure to call that company before you just go ahead and click on it, because once you click on it, it could be too late and you could have the virus either on your Kindersley email or on your personal. It could go into your devices, pretty much anything. So to reiterate that, and yeah, sometimes the iPhones will actually, like I had gotten one that said it was from Audrey and it wasn't, but it'll actually confuse the contact. So do make sure when your contacts, like when you're sending emails out, that it is going to, Audrey's email, or it is going to Councillor Moss's email or something like that, and it's not going to something that maybe was confused. Make sure to delete all of the spam emails and all of that. Just make sure to get rid of them. And you guys are always welcome to contact me if you're not sure about an email that you received or something like that, me or Jeff. So just to reiterate that, and watching, USBs and links and things that you're plugging in, whether it be your own computer or something here. I think that's pretty much the gist of it.
One of the staff got one for me that didn't come from me.
I had one go out today too, and the one thing that they do say is if you think it's from, say, myself or the mayor, look at the rest of it, because it did say audrey.h, but the rest of it wasn't at kindersley.ca, it was at boardofdirectors.gmail or gmail@gmail.com or something like that. So if it doesn't look like a normal kindersley.ca, just delete it and don't go there.
Look at that now.
Yeah, just don't, if you see the first, like if you saw Kim or you saw Audrey, just don't assume that you gotta read the whole address, because especially if it looks funny. If it looks like a normal email, then you're fine, but if it looks like something's off, then, yeah.
Okay, we'll go back to 7.2 here and just rescind that previous motion that we passed. The motion is that the council of the town of Kindersley resolves to rescind resolution 30-20, being a resolution to approve policy AP 001, being the zero tolerance policy for violence and anti-social behavior, as approved at the February 10th, 2020 regular meeting of council. So we're going to come back to this next meeting with a more concise one. So I have a mover and a seconder for this, please. Baker. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Agenda item 7.5 is the West Central Industries fundraising project. Now, I did have a phone call from Lauren Pinselman on this back before I went on holidays in December. West Central Industries has approached the RM to spearhead the fundraising, I guess would be fair. So the councillor phoned me and said that they were looking at a substantial donation. Would we go with the other half and build it or complete the fundraising? I said, well, we have yet to have had a presentation that has got a number on it or anything else. So until such time as we see that, I doubt very much if council is interested. So you can see the letter. This came from, I guess, Glenn Harrison signed the letter, the wreath, but everybody's got a copy of it, do they? Yeah, he's got a package of it, and what they're basically saying is the shortfall on the project was about $600,000. The RM was making a substantial contribution of nearly half of that, and they're asking for us to take a look at it. I did have a brief discussion with our MLA on this, and they've also been talking to him on funding. I think his take was that the shortfall was more like $800,000 instead of $600,000, but I'm not sure whether that might have changed in the interim here. This is back in December that this letter was written, which is shortly after I got the phone call on it. So it looks like they're budgeting for a facility of about 2.2 million, and social services is coming in for 775. They've done a fair bit of fundraising already, and they're looking at shortfall that they're saying of $600,000. Deputy Mayor,
I just wondered whether there was, I guess we've probably had minimal contact. The request for money for them, is it coming from them? It's coming through the RM? Is that kind of what you're saying?
basically the RM agreed to help them and has written out a letter to a bunch of the surrounding municipalities, and similar to probably the letter that came to myself here.
Do we know if there's any funds going to be turned over from the sale of their, at least the building across the highway, that I think they're not abandoning, but they're not going to be using? Has there been any discussion about that? Because if they sell that, I'm assuming they're going to sell it, they'll sell it for, I don't know, reasonable chunk of change. Is that going to go into this, or have they included that as, you know, maybe?
Unless it's part, like, I mean, I think this is probably where we need a proper presentation to see what's going on.
Is there, do they pay taxes? Property taxes?
Yes, they do. You guys did give them the charitable donations, so we abated the town portion and all they paid was the school portion.
Yeah, which we don't have any say, but we did.
We did abate our
Okay.
the town share of their
The town's
taxes.
contributing over and above the contribution.
Councilor Moss?
Yes, you did abate their taxes,
I
yes.
guess one of the questions I would have would be, have they started the tendering process and put it out there for tender to get finalized pricing? I guess they had presented to us, I believe, shortly before this letter came in, they had sent this letter, and we had briefly discussed it at council at that time, and it was kind of a consensus around the table that we wanted to have a little bit more information provided to us by the board of directors on what the project is. Do you guys have, you know, a little bit more of an official number that you have? Just based on this letter, I'm not sure if the 600,000 is a finalized number, and I guess I would like to know for sure, is it a $600,000 shortfall, is it going to be an $800,000 shortfall? And I think the only way to get those numbers accurate, to know how much they need support, is through going through a tender process and getting a finalized price point, so that the surrounding partnering municipalities can actually know true balance of what the shortfall will be.
Yeah, and on here it did say they're ready to send out the tenders in the new year, so whether they've done it yet or not, I'm not sure.
I would like to see a presentation by the committee.
Okay,
Come in on everybody.
we'll see, we'll set it up either.
It's a pretty big ask, so you should have a little more detail on how the RM actually do it for you.
Okay, we'll see when they can come.
Place like that, that'd be 10 or 12 grand.
Yeah.
They say the new building is gonna be about the same size as the old one.
Yeah, so it's new, but
You probably have a better
it's
idea what a 5,000 square foot building is in taxes.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring, 12 grand or more.
Yeah, so I mean, our donation is
Well, that's what I mean.
every year.
I mean, so we have to consider, it's one or the other, in my opinion, but I mean, we need to discuss it. But to me, it's either we're abating taxes or we're giving a donation and getting taxes.
Yeah.
yeah. So we'll see when they can come and we'll book it when they can.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, move on to 8.1, that the council of the town of Kindersley resolves to accept as submitted the list of accounts as paid by the town of Kindersley in the amount of $274,000 $570.75, and that a copy of said accounts be attached to and form part of the minutes of this meeting. Audrey, I believe you did get some questions on a couple or three of those?
I did. Did you get a chance to read them?
Thanks, yeah, sorry about the,
Oh,
quarter to 5.
yeah, so I did, and I forwarded that email to everybody with the 3 requests from Deputy Mayor.
So on that SaskTel bill then, it was 3,000 due to the fire hall. Would that bill normally been around 5,000? In addition to the 1,700 per SaskTel lower down on the accounts, which I think might be the cell bill?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, the 1,700 is your cell phone, that's your SaskTel mobility,
Right.
and the other one is all the landlines, the internet, the
Is that
everything else.
is that about it? Oh, I never really realized it was that high.
So normally it would probably be closer to around 5,
Right.
but yeah, because of the fire hall hookup on that one, it was a little bit higher.
Right, and I didn't realize, I was thinking initially Norman Ritchie Center on the glass electronic doors, but it turns out it's the Co-op Arena.
Right. It was the EC Arena, so it's right beside the debit machine in down there. We will be budgeting to do the co-op doors just this
In
year.
2002.
Yes, in 2020. Yes, to to get those done. Yeah, we had hoped to get them both done in 2019, just because when some of the people go to use the walking track in there, they have a hard time opening those doors.
I had somebody mention that last week. Actually,
Yeah, so we will be budgeting for those doors to get the automatic opening as well, so that they can, and even if it's just a stroller or whatever, it's hard to manipulate, so.
Or should be, I agree.
Any other questions on the accounts that you might have? Okay, seeing none, could I have a mover and a seconder of Councilor Moss, second, Councilor Albright. All in favor? Okay. Thank you. Okay, agenda item 9.1 is a resolution whereas the Council of the Town of Kindersley recognizes that Kin Canada has been a vibrant, responsible, all-Canadian association of volunteer service clubs devoted to the concept of serving communities throughout Canada since its founding in Hamilton, Ontario on February 20th, 1920. Whereas Kin Canada has been dedicated to meeting the needs of our community and has diligently sought the development and completion of timely, relevant programs to meet the needs and challenges of our ever-evolving society. And whereas Kin Canada is celebrating its 100th anniversary on February 20th, 2020, therefore I, Rod Perkins, Mayor of the Town of Kindersley, do hereby proclaim Thursday, February 20th, 2020, as Kin Canada Day, and do hereby proclaim February 16th to the 22nd, 2020 as Kin Canada Week throughout the Town of Kindersley, and that the Council of the Town of Kindersley feels that each resident would welcome the opportunity to pause and salute the local Kin members proudly serving our community. I'm a mover and a seconder for that resolution. Andy Geary. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Number 13.1. That the Council of the Town of Kindersley resolves that all business having been concluded, the February 10th, 2020 regular meeting of council be adjourned at 6:55 p.m. Mover, second. Chris? All in favor? That's it, that's all.